Volume 8, Emperor Team, Chapter 53, Shrek, Gold Level Spirit Fighting Team. Qin Ming thought to himself, the Shrek 7 Devil's circumstances should definitely be the same as his. In other words, the Shrek 7 Devils before him should be even younger than the Emperor Team's 7 students fostered at the Heaven Du Imperial Academy, and also more outstanding. He was also only too well aware of the Shrek Academy's circumstances. With the Academy's circumstances like that, unexpectedly able to foster these genius spirit master, what did this imply? The Shrek 7 Devils' gazes were at this moment all focused on Qin Ming. The previous fight to them was so challenging. Right now it turned out the opponent's teacher actually was their senior. This kind of feeling to them was fantastic, and also somewhat strange. Flender turned to the Shrek 7 Devils, saying, "Well, you go settle your points first. Afterwards return at once. Wu Ji, Qin Ming, we'll leave." Flender's trio left, only leaving the Shrek 7 Devils. Right now, the 7 with the help of Oscar's recovery sausage had already recovered a lot of their physical strength. Spirit power had also recovered somewhat. Ma Hongjun muttered to himself, "Unexpectedly I was already so awesome. Even the Heaven Du Imperial Academy's elite were unable to beat me. Ha ha, I really am talented." Dai Mabai grumpily hit the top of Fatty's head. "Talented your head. Was the Emperor Team beaten by you? That was Little San being awesome. If we had to rely on you, perhaps we would long ago have been beaten until we pissed in terror." Fatty grinned, saying, "Boss Dai, no need to say that. Didn't Grandmaster say we are one entity? Each person contributes. Little San is awesome, but I, Fatty, also have real skill. However, third brother, your younger brother thanks you." Xiao Wu baffled looked at Fatty, saying, "You're thanking Little San for what?" Fatty chuckled, looking at Tang San with an expression clearly showing some gratitude. "Although I, Fatty, am not regarded as clever, I absolutely am not a fool. When Little San confronted that shield attack, he never resorted to using Oscar's mushroom sausage to dodge. Of course it was because I was behind him with Oscar and Ning Rongrong. Otherwise, if he had only taken it a bit easy and flown off, then what would those 2 black tortoises have been looking at?" Tang San smiling said, "Weren't you just saying that we are one entity? I can never betray a teammate. Everyone are our people, there's no need for words of gratitude. If I show an opening, will you not also just like that come to my aid? Boss Dai, let's leave. After drawing the points and changing spirit fighter level we'll go back early." "Oh, that's right. Just now Senior Qin Ming said the Heaven Du Imperial Academy was what kind of academy?" Dai Mabai was speechless a while. "Little San, you're not saying, you don't even know about Heaven Du Imperial Academy?" Tang San scratched his head, saying, "I really don't know." To the side Xiao Wu nodded, "I also don't know. Don't tell me they're very famous." Ning Rongrong said, "How can it be described as famous? Heaven Du Imperial College was founded by the Heaven Du Empire's imperial family. Throughout history the Dean of Heaven Du Imperial Academy has always been a concurrent position for the Heaven Du Empire's regent. Famous, you ask? In Heaven Du Empire, the Heaven Du Imperial Academy is the single largest advanced spirit master academy. Every kind of facility is perfect beyond imagination. Originally, if I hadn't been enrolled at Shrek Academy, I might have gone there." Dai Mabai said, "Only it's a pity. Although Heaven Du Academy is good in itself, their connection to the Imperial family brings major restrictions. The Heaven Du Imperial Academy's first requirement for accepting students is that the student has to be a noble, making a lot of remarkable commoner students unable to join. Also precisely because the students are nobles leads to the facilities being faultless and the teacher's strength formidable, and thus the Heaven Du Imperial Academy is always the first ranked. But not a lot of famous spirit masters appear from there. Royal family connection." Tang San slowly nodded. He wasn't envious of the other academy's facilities. He was only somewhat curious about this academy, that's all. It was no wonder the Emperor team members all possessed such powerful spirits. Unexpectedly it was because they came from this kind of famous academy. Oscar suddenly said, Boss Dai, Tang San, did you see how high Senior Qin Ming's present rank is? Dai Mabai looked blank. Going by Senior's appearance, he should already be over 30 years old. The Academy's previous record was 30th rank at age 14, still 2 months earlier than you. Like this, it would appear Senior Qin Ming is at least 50th ranked. At 30 already over 50th rank, truly powerful. No wonder he could become a teacher at Heaven Du Imperial Academy. Tang San slowly nodded, expressing approval of Dai Mabai's conjecture. Oscar shook his head, saying, I don't see it like that. At 50th rank, becoming a teacher at an advanced Spirit Master Academy is admittedly no problem. But what you must take into account is that Qin Ming brought the Emperor team. Then, his position at Heaven Du Imperial Academy will inevitably be very high. Without guaranteed strength, is this possible? I think that even if he isn't 60th rank, then perhaps he isn't far from it. Fatty was clearly somewhat impatient with standing here. Fine. Let's go. If you want to know Senior Qin Ming's rank, just go back and ask. There's no need to stand here and guess. 1 month of spirit fighting had at last ended. Defeating the Emperor team, the Shrek 7 Devils obtained a team spirit fighting record of 28 complete victories. Furthermore, according to the agreement between Grandmaster and Suotuo Great Spirit Arena, apart from Oscar and Ning Rongrong, each person would raise their 1 versus 1 fighting record by 1 bout. And besides Fatty, who didn't have a partner, the other 6 each obtained 1-2 versus 2 victory record. After so many spirit fights, each person was somewhat curious about their points. They also didn't know what kind of degree their points from successive victories could reach. This couldn't just be about points. At the same time, there was the award money. All were today, on the last day of the month, calculated and distributed. Without waiting for the 7 to go to the specialized point calculation area, that manager Ao already took the initiative to come to them, asking the 7 to come to a high-level Spirit Master area specially dedicated to calculate points. Manager Ao's face was currently flushed with success. Shrek 7 Devils prevailed over Emperor team, not only averting losses for Suotuo Great Spirit Arena, but furthermore making the Great Spirit Arena a large profit. To these outstanding Spirit Masters, Suotuo Great Spirit Arena naturally wouldn't be stingy. Manager Ao handed over a black card to Shrek 7 Devils team captain Dai Mabai. This is the agreed upon sum of 10,000 gold spirit coins, Mr. Team Captain. This black card is usable at any bank on the continent, and can be directly converted into the corresponding amount. Dai Mabai also wasn't polite, directly taking the black card and placing it in his chest. Manager Ao, could you calculate our points now? We're still tired, hoping to return early to rest. Of course, of course. Manager Ao was exceptionally polite, hastily gesturing for a staff member to the side to calculate this past month's points for the Shrek 7 Devils. He had clearly seen today's team spirit battle with his own eyes. Tang San was admittedly remarkable, but he regarded Dai Mabai's and Zhu Zhuqing's spirit fusion ability as even more significant. As a matter of fact, among spirit masters, the appearance of the spirit fusion ability was extremely rare. Once the user's strength increased a certain degree, then, the spirit fusion ability would be in existence opposing heaven. To young spirit masters with this kind of potential, the Great Spirit Arena absolutely hoped to entice them. Therefore, to Dai Mabai, this manager Ao was even more polite. He already thought, next month, when the Shrek 7 Devils again came to join spirit fights, he would look after them especially well, as far as possible winning over these youngsters with outstanding strength. But how could he know that this was the last spirit fight of the Shrek 7 Devils at the Suotuo Great Spirit Arena? The calculation results appeared very quickly. The staff member held out a calculation form. Evil Eye White Tiger, because of there being more than 3 months between previous month's fights and this month's first fight, and previously being without a record of 5 successive victories. Previous months' obtained spirit fight victories will not be counted cumulatively with this month's successive victories. 1 versus 1 spirit fights, this month's achievement, 26 wins and 2 losses. Among these, the 2 lost bouts separating 15 bouts out of 27 bouts. Therefore, the number of bouts with 5 or more successive victories are divided into 2 calculations, altogether 10 bouts, 5 bouts with 10 successive victories or more. Obtained points, 609. 2 versus 2 spirit fights, dual-winged white tiger combination member, 17 wins and 11 losses, among them 2 bouts with 5 or more successive victories. Obtained points, 24. Team spirit fights, Shrek 7 Devils team captain, 28 victories, among them 5 bouts with 5 or more successive victories, 18 bouts with 10 successive victories or more. Obtained points, 1855. Obtained points at the start of the month, 3. This month's obtained points, grand total of 2,488. Overall obtained points, 2,491. Spirit Fighter badge advances to Silver Spirit Fighter level. Finishing the announcement, the staff member handed over a Silver Spirit Fighter badge already prepared according to Dai Mabai's remaining record. Furthermore, handing over another black card, containing the gold coin bonus for successive victories. Sausage Monopoly. Prior to this month without a spirit fight record. This month's performance, 1 versus 1 spirit fights, none. 2 versus 2 spirit fights, double-winged white tiger combination member, 17 victories and 11 losses, among them 2 bouts with 5 or more successive victories. Obtained points, 24. Team spirit fights, Shrek 7 Devils team member, 28 successive victories, among them 5 bouts with 5 or more successive victories, 18 bouts with 10 or more successive victories. Obtained points, 1855. Previous month's points, 0. This month's points, grand total of 1855. Overall obtained points, 1879. Spirit Fighter badge advances to Silver Spirit Fight level. In the same manner, Oscar also received a special Silver Spirit Fighter badge and gold spirit coins on a card. The third person's turn naturally was Tang San. Among everyone, Tang San's record undoubtedly was the best, whether it was 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2 or team spirit fights, he had a perfect record. Thousand Hands Asura. Because of there being more than 3 months between previous month's fights and this month's first fight, and previously being without a record of 5 successive victories, previous month's obtained spirit fight victories will not be counted cumulatively with this month's successive victories. 1 versus 1 spirit fights, this month's record is 28 successive victories, among them 5 bouts with 5 or more successive victories, 18 bouts with 10 successive victories or more. Obtained points, 1855. 2 versus 2 spirit fights, 3-5 combination member, 28 successive victories, among them 5 bouts with 5 or more successive victories, 18 bouts with 10 successive victories or more. Obtained points, 1855. Team spirit fights, Shrek 7 Devils team member, 28 successive victories, among them 5 bouts with 5 or more successive victories, 18 bouts with 10 successive victories or more. Obtained points, 1855. Obtained points at the start of the month, 2. This month's obtained points, grand total of 5,565. Overall obtained points, 5,567. Spirit Fighter badge advances to Gold Spirit Fighter level. Let alone Tang San and the Shrek 7 Devils, even Manager Ao to the side couldn't help but be dumbfounded when he heard the number 5,567. As far as he could remember, there had never been an Iron Spirit Fighter Spirit Master able to receive such a high score in 1 month. Unexpectedly able to leap straight from the Iron Spirit Fighter level to the 5,000 points required for Gold Spirit fights. Let alone Suotuo Spirit Arena, something like this might not have happened in any great spirit arena on the continent. Taking the heavy Gold Spirit Fighter badge, Tang San showed a faint smile. His effort for 1 month hadn't been wasted. Not good, Ma Hongjun suddenly shouted out. Dai Mabai unhappily glared at him. What's not good? Ma Hongjun stared at Tang San. Since third brother has a Gold Spirit Fighter badge, then hereafter when we again participate in team spirit fights, won't we have to battle with Gold Spirit Fighter level teams? How will we win? A Silver Spirit Fighter level Emperor team was already so dangerous to defeat. Hearing Fatty's words, everyone immediately understood. Team Spirit fights were calculated according to the member with the highest Spirit Fighter level and the highest Spirit Power level. In other words, with a Gold Spirit Fighter member, they had to participate in Gold Spirit Fighter level matches. For a moment, everyone couldn't help looking distracted, staring strangely at Tang San. Tang San smiled wryly. Apparently I have too many points. It also seems that isn't a good thing. With them having this kind of notion, Manager Ao to the side couldn't look at them like this. I think you basically don't have to worry about. Manager Ao looked at them with a wry smile. Everyone, let alone Gold Spirit Fighter level, even if it is Silver Spirit Fighter level teams, perhaps you would find it very difficult to find, unless the Emperor team reappears. Why? Tang San curious asked. Manager Ao said, generally speaking, obtaining points is done incrementally, successive victories is very difficult to obtain. Circumstances like you obtaining points so quickly, after all these years it's still my first time seeing it. Under normal circumstances, among 30th level Spirit Masters, there will also only be Iron Spirit Fighters and Copper Spirit Fighters. Silver Spirit Fighters basically wouldn't appear, before finally reaching 40th level or higher. As spirit power increases, one's spirit's advantages emerges. Possessing a certain advantage on the same level, points will increase quickly, advancing to Silver Spirit Fighter, on even higher levels to Gold Spirit Fighter. Something like you, on the 30th level becoming a Gold Spirit Fighter team, I have never even heard of. I don't know the circumstances in Star Luo Empire, but in our Stardew Empire's Great Spirit Arenas there wouldn't be a second 30th level Gold Spirit Fighter team. Even if it was 30th level Spirit Fighter teams, perhaps there wouldn't be more than 5. Furthermore, it would also be very difficult to find a team more powerful than Emperor team. Therefore, you can safely believe that on your level, you are the strongest. Without opponents, the Shrek 7 devils all smiled. Apart from Tang San, the eldest among them was no more than 15. As Spirit Masters, how couldn't they hope for their strength to be formidable? A common voice appeared in their hearts. We, Shrek 7 devils, are a Gold Spirit fighting team. The remaining 4 people also calculated their points. With the guarantee of 28 successive victories, without exception, all had more than 1,000 points, smoothly obtaining Silver Spirit Fighter badges. Until they left the Great Spirit Arena, everyone still thought it was somewhat inconceivable. By now, they had already found a lonely lavatory to change their costumes. Looking at the sparkling stars in the night sky, Oscar murmured, 1 month, in just 1 month I've really become a Silver Spirit Fighter. Every time hereafter I again participate in spirit fights I'll be able to obtain plenty of gold spirit coins. This really is too unimaginable. His arms suddenly smarting, Oscar pivoted quickly and shuddered, feeling wronged looking at the beauty next to him. Rongrong, what are you doing pinching me? Ning Rongrong's beautiful young face expressed a smile harmless to men or beasts. I checked whether it hurts. If it hurts, then it isn't a dream. As the 2 auxiliary system spirit master, able to so quickly obtain Silver Spirit Fighter qualifications, their thoughts were naturally the closest. Oscar didn't hold any resentment for being pinched by Ning Rongrong, needing the place where he was pinched. He said in a deadpan voice, I've decided, this month I will not bathe. Tang San smiling said, that's no problem, as long as you don't sleep in the same room as me. Otherwise, I can't guarantee I won't throw you and your stink in the river while you sleep. While speaking, he also made a throwing motion, drawing everyone's laughter. The Emperor team members all supported each other to walk back to their hotel. Although their injuries had all been cured by Si Lingerling's 9 heart-flowering apple, because of the Shi brothers and Dugu Yan previously suffering from Tang San's man-faced demon spider poison, right now they were still very weak. Even more importantly, this time losing a spirit fight was an extremely critical blow to their spirit. Si Lingerling supported Dugu Yan, Osler supported Yu Tian Heng, the one considered having the best condition wind chime bird spirit master Yu Feng supported the Shi brothers, together resembling soldiers from a defeated army. The 7 walked in a lifeless atmosphere. Just when they were about to return to the hotel, a person suddenly blocked their path. "Tian Heng, do you still remember me?" A somewhat strange resonant voice, making the depressed Yu Tian Heng surprised raise his head. In the moonlight, he could with difficulty see the person obstructing him, hesitating slightly. You're uncle. How could you be here?" The person barring the Emperor team was precisely Grandmaster. Grandmaster walked forward to stand in front of Yu Tian Heng. "Let's chat alone." Yu Tian Heng right now had even forgotten being depressed from losing the battle, hastily nodding, indicating to the other members, letting them return to the hotel first. The Emperor team people, when hearing this person was Yu Tian Heng's uncle, naturally didn't have anything to say, directly returning to their residence not far away. "Uncle, you're here." Looking at Grandmaster, Yu Tian Heng's throat seemed to choke up. Although it had already been very many years since Grandmaster left the family, he could still clearly remember this uncle frequently carrying him to play in his childhood. At that time, his face also wasn't as rigid as now. His father, as the eldest son and heir, every day had to study managing the clan with his grandfather and cultivate. In his childhood, the one who spent more time with him was this uncle, even so much that for a very long time, Yu Tian Heng would regard this Grandmaster before him as a father. Grandmaster's eyes held a gentle light, clapping Yu Tian Heng's shoulder. "It seems you have done well these years. 39th ranked, little Heng has grown up." The edges of Yu Tian Heng's eyes reddened. He who had just gone through a setback, suddenly finding a close relative would naturally have a kind of dependent feeling. Choking with emotion, saying, "Uncle, come back home with me. Actually, Grandfather always thought of you. Dad also." Intense emotion flitted past in Grandmaster's eyes, lightly sighing, calmly saying, "Although your grandfather is the clan head, in the clan, it's not at all the clan head who has the final word. I was driven out of the clan long ago, struck from the genealogy. How could I still return? Are your grandfather and father still well?" Yu Tian Heng nodded. "They're both very well. Only grandfather is getting old, already handling fewer matters. In the clan, the majority of affairs are managed by Dad. Uncle, did you know, many times in the past I found grandfather staring blankly at a portrait of you. He definitely very much wants you to come back to visit." "Enough said." Grandmaster suddenly somewhat irritably interrupted Yu Tian Heng, his whole body twitching slightly, for a long time unable to be calm. Yu Tian Heng tactfully didn't speak further, but looked at Grandmaster, his eyes moist. Not so long before, Grandmaster had carried him in his big warm hands, played with him, told him spirit master anecdotes. From Yu Tian Heng's entire childhood, these memories were all much more profound than any others he had. As the clan's eldest grandson, his grandfather and father's requirements of him were extremely strict, concerned only with his spirit power progress and spirit ability applications. Only Grandmaster, only this uncle, would truly give him some childhood happiness. After a long time, Grandmaster drew a deep breath, calming the surging emotions in his heart. "Tian Heng, perhaps not long after, we will still meet again. No need to be so discouraged by defeat as today. Defeat isn't frightening. What's frightening is not being able to find the lessons in defeat. Your own strength is very great, but from seeing the spirit fight today, you haven't displayed your true strength. Otherwise victory and defeat would have been difficult to guess." Yu Tian Heng's heart moved. "Uncle, you also saw our team spirit fight today." "I let the family lose face." Grandmaster shook his head. "Do you know where your mistakes were?" Yu Tian Heng somewhat blankly looked at Grandmaster. If this was asked by Qin Ming, perhaps he would have a lot of replies, but being asked by his uncle, in the whole clan with the lowest position, even to the extent that he didn't inherit the directly related tyrant dragon, for some reason, he was left speechless. Grandmaster raised his right hand to grab Yu Tian Heng's shoulder. "You didn't lose to the opponent in skill, rather they lost to you. Right? With your fundamentals, as far as spirit ability application goes, there aren't any issues. The reason why you would fall into the opponent's trap is because of the arrogance in your heart. The arrogance of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan. Arrogance. Yu Qianheng looked at Grandmaster, something gradually forming in his eyes. He was extremely intelligent. With Grandmaster and Qin Ming raising the same point one after another, he immediately became aware of some key problem. Uncle, don't worry, the next time I have the opportunity, I absolutely won't lose to them again. Grandmaster exposed a rare smile. You will have the opportunity. Because I am the Shrek 7 Devils team's leader. What? Yu Qianheng was gobsmacked, looking at Grandmaster without daring to believe. In the clan, he had heard all the rumors concerning Grandmaster. All said Grandmaster possessed a trash spirit, and still those events bringing disgrace to the family. Even though he really didn't care about these, he was still unusually clear on Grandmaster's strength, that strength forever unable to break through the 30th rank. Grandmaster calmly smiled, saying, very strange, isn't it? Right, my own strength is low, but that doesn't mean I'm unable to teach disciples well. The Shrek 7 Devils can't all be said to be my disciples, but at present I'm their teacher. I only have one direct disciple. You also met him just now, Shrek 7 Devils Control System Spirit Master. Him. Yu Qianheng's gaze at Grandmaster changed. In the previous spirit fight, of the two people who gave him the most profound impressions, besides Dai Mabai who could block him from the front, was that one completely controlling the battle situation, Tang San. A radiance flashed in Grandmaster's eyes. One day, I will let the people of the world know that, although I, Yu Xiaogang, am rubbish, I can teach an incomparable genius. Qianheng, I'm leaving. Remember my words. If you wish to under any circumstances display your full strength, bringing your team to the ultimate victory, then, give up that arrogance. Finished speaking, Grandmaster looked deeply at Yu Qianheng, again clapping his shoulder, turning around and walking into the darkness. Uncle, can't you also teach me? Yu Qianheng caught up to him. Grandmaster paused, lightly shaking his head. Qianheng, if the clan knew I taught you, what do you believe they would do? Perhaps I would immediately become the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan's enemy. If you truly want to become a mighty spirit master, then, set that apprentice of mine as a goal. If you can still surpass him in 1 year, then, you inevitably already stand on the summit of the continent's spirit masters. Uncle, why? Yu Qianheng was somewhat unconvinced. Although he was extremely shocked by Tang San's control strength and supplementary toxicity, he certainly believed that whatever variation that was, it was still just blue-silver grass and could never compare to his Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. If it was a 1 versus 1 duel, he certainly would be able to surmount the opponent. Grandmaster stopped walking, turning his head to look at Yu Qianheng. Do you know how high his spirit power rank is? Yu Qianheng pondered it, saying, by the materials I received, he should be 32nd rank, nicknamed Thousand Hands Asura. But I think his spirit power should be more or less the same as mine. The circumstances of Tang San controlling the entire situation was still vivid in his mind. How could he believe that this was accomplished by a control system spirit master with spirit power 7 ranks lower than his own? His side's Dugu Yan was also a control system spirit master, with 38th ranked spirit power, but she was completely suppressed by him. Grandmaster shook his head, saying, no, the materials you got were correct. Little San really only has 32nd ranked spirit power. Then, do you know how old he is? Yu Qianheng shook his head, his heart suddenly skipping a beat. Grandmaster calmly smiled. He just had his 13th birthday. When he was 12 he obtained his 3rd spirit ring. Having said this, he no longer stopped, turning around and swiftly leaving. Even this couldn't completely represent Tang San's talent. He still had the greatest secret, twin spirits. Yu Qianheng stood there sluggishly, for a long time without moving, until Dugu Yan with Si Lingaling's support once again came to find him, rousing him from lifelessness. 32nd rank, 13 years old. These two figures constantly circled in his mind. At this moment he at last understood why Uncle would say that if he wanted to become a great spirit master he should follow that person's footsteps. Uncle, what kind of monster are you teaching? Yawn. Tang San sneezed, rubbing his nose. Little San, are you all right? It had to be said, that 9-heart-flowering apple spirit's healing capabilities were astonishing. Right now Xiao Wu, apart from a somewhat pale complexion, was already without any major obstructions, the wounds not even having left any scars. Tang San shook his head, smiling. It's nothing, perhaps someone was thinking about me. Saying this, he unconsciously recalled his father. Dad, where are you really? After so many years, where have you gone? Why have you never come back to see me? Don't you want to see your son? Before coming to Suotuo City, he still specially returned home, leaving a brief note and telling old Jack that if his father returned, to at once tell him where he was. 6 years, already 6 years had passed, but his father had never sent a letter. In his old world he never had close relatives. In this world, he had with difficulty had a father, but he had left him. Xiao Wu was naturally very familiar with Tang San. Seeing his gaze change, she already knew what was on his mind. Little San, don't think too much. I believe that not much later, Uncle will definitely come back. Tang San nodded silently. Right now, the party at last returned to the hotel. Entering the hotel, they at once saw the Flenders trio sitting in a dark corner gossiping. The food and drink on the trio's table didn't appear to change much while they talked about something. Hey, there's wine. Fatty was the first to walk over. He was also considered Flenders' direct disciple, not as restrained before Flender as other people. Teacher, we won today, shouldn't we also be rewarded with some food and drink? Ma Hongjun walked over next to Flenders' side, holding out a hand for a wine cup. The chopsticks in Flenders' hands flipped over, striking Fatty's knuckles. Fatty's hand smarted, and with a loud exclamation he hastily pulled it back. Qin Ming, somewhat puzzled, looked at Ma Hongjun standing at Flenders' side. Teacher, is this little brother also an academy student? Since when did our Shrek Academy have so many disciples? Ma Hongjun loudly whimpered. Senior Qin, we only just separated and you have already forgotten me. Qin Ming widened his eyes, carefully looking at Fatty. You are just now from the Shrek 7 Devils, that flaming Fatty. How old are you this year? Although he already had a certain expectation, when able to truly see Ma Hongjun's childish manners and plump face, he couldn't help but feel his heart twitch. Qin Ming always knew he was regarded as a genius talent in the Spirit Master world. He was a well-known figure even back at Shrek Academy. But he had previously seen the strength of this Fatty in front of him. Even though it was under the assistance of 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda, he was capable of blocking 35th ranked Wind Chime Bird Spirit Master Yu Feng's 3rd spirit ability attack for such a long time. How could his strength be lacking? The mask-wearing Shrek 7 Devils only gave people the impression of being somewhat undersized, but among them Daima Bai and Xiao Wu already had adult height. As long as they didn't say anything themselves, nobody would guess the true age. Ma Hongjun somewhat proudly said, Right, I'm that evil fire phoenix from just now, 13 years old. Oh, I get it, we wore masks before, so you couldn't recognize us, right? Right now, the other Shrek 7 Devils walked up. Qin Ming stared blankly at these mostly under 15 children. For a moment he was speechless. Flender issued his customary rough and sinister-feeling laugh. Why, Qin Ming, remember our academy's rules. We only accept 12-year-old students. Ma Hongjun came to the academy at 11. Tang San, Xiao Wu and further Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing all enrolled this year. This year we received more students than in several together. Volume 8. Emperor Team. Chapter 54. Borrowing a chicken to lay an egg. Qin Ming forced himself to swallow. Then this means, the majority of them are only 12 or 13 years old. Flender nodded. Qin Ming's gaze separately swept across the Shrek 7 Devils, with a wry smile saying, Now I know why you wore masks. You truly are too astonishing. I always thought the Emperor team were already pretty gifted, but in front of you they're basically nothing. If age was the same, they wouldn't have any chance of victory. Flender didn't speak, only smiling looking at these children before him. Shrek Academy's students were possibly the biggest accomplishment of his life. Qin Ming was one, the Shrek 7 devils in front of him were equally ones. Dai Mabai asked, "Senior, could I be so presumptuous as to ask, right now what is your spirit power rank?" Qin Ming subconsciously replied, 62nd rank, my luck hasn't been bad. The Shrek 7 devils all looked at each other, at the same time all recalling Flender's words. Shrek Academy only accepted monsters, not ordinary people. All right, don't flatter each other, all the little monsters can sit. Eat something, today your miserly Sir Dean will contribute generously, don't give me face, do as you wish. Zhao Wuji looked at the complacent Flender, calling out to the Shrek 7 devils in a loud voice. Flender's smile immediately became rigid, but the Shrek 7 devils simultaneously cheered, promptly calling for a waiter. As expected, they didn't give Zhao Wuji face, directly starting to order dishes. Ma Hongjun took the initiative to snatch the menu. Flipping through it, the menu had 3 pages. Raising his hand to point at the menu several times, indicating to the waiter to remember several dishes. Flender, sitting next to Ma Hongjun, watching his disciple point at several of the cheapest dishes, couldn't help but feel invigorated. Good, worthy of being my disciple, still truly letting me save money, really good. But Ma Hongjun's next words immediately made him fall from heaven directly into hell. Those dishes I pointed to just now, apart from them bring everything else on the menu. Big portions. Also bring 2 kegs of ale. Serve quickly. Ma Hongjun basically didn't give the others a chance to order, directly taking on this glorious mission on behalf of the Shrek 7 devils. Turning his head to look at Flender, Ma Hongjun said somewhat baffled, "Yi, teacher, what's up with your face, why is it blue? Didn't you sleep well last night?" To the side, Qin Ming could still maintain his aloofness, but Zhao Wuji was already completely without image, laughing heartily. Flender's miserliness was famous among all the academy teachers. Qin Ming had right now managed to restore his expression to normal, smiling, "How can I let the dean spend so much? After so many years I've finally returned. 2 teachers, give me the opportunity to thank you for the instruction in those days. Without you, there still wouldn't have been a Qin Ming." Zhao Wuji laughed, saying, "Little Ming, you're still so thoughtful. Originally I wanted to have a look at Flender bleeding money. Right now that doesn't seem to be." When Flender heard Qin Ming was hosting, his complexion immediately became much better, glaring at Zhao Wuji, saying, "Isn't making a fool of me pleasurable? Fine, old Zhao, it's been quite a while since we exchanged pointers. Once we've returned, I'll look you up for sparring. It's also to promote spirit power." This time it was Zhao Wuji's turn to stop smiling. He and Flender had exchanged pointers an indeterminate number of times. Naturally he was well aware of Flender's strength. As a strength-type spirit master, to Flender belonging to the agility attack system and also a flying spirit master, he basically didn't have any way of dealing with him. Let alone when Flender's spirit power was 2 ranks higher than his. At the level they'd reached, every single rank of spirit power disparity couldn't be as indistinct as at the Shrek 7 devils level. Each rank was an absolute gap. Qin Ming looked at the sitting Shrek 7 devils. Finally his gaze stopped on Tang San, Dai Mabai and Zhu Zhuqing. Truly unfortunate. If you junior brothers and sisters weren't Shrek's people, I would use every possible means to bring you back to the Imperial Academy. If you joined, maybe. Just as Qin Ming said this, a familiar voice resounded nearby. Even if they're Shrek Academy's people, you can still bring them back to the Imperial Academy all the same. When everyone looked over, they found Grandmaster entering from outside. Also impolite, he directly sat down next to Flender. Qin Ming probing asked, "Grandmaster, what was the intention of what you said just now?" Without waiting for Grandmaster to reply, Flender already gave up. "Grandmaster, did you specially come to tear apart my support? These children belong to Shrek. Now and hereafter. Don't tell me that we can't give them a good education at Shrek." Grandmaster didn't show any change because of Flender's anxiety, still that rigid face, calmly saying, I didn't say to let them enter Heaven Do Imperial Academy, what I meant was, I hope the two academies can make a mutual exchange. Teacher Qin, I think this shouldn't be any big issue. If you can't decide it, I can look to Spirit Hall. Qin Ming stared blankly at Grandmaster, for a moment not knowing how he should reply. Flender was equally looking at Grandmaster while thinking to himself, what is Xiao Gang this fellow actually trying to sell? But right now in front of Qin Ming he couldn't well ask, but he and Grandmaster had been brothers for so many years, naturally he was convinced Grandmaster was a principled person. Qin Ming pondered, saying, if I can exchange with the junior brothers and sisters, it would be Heaven Do Academy's good fortune, only I'm afraid. Grandmaster said, you're afraid these children are too outstanding, so in the end your Heaven Do Imperial Academy wouldn't return him. Yes, the feeling of being seen through by people was unpleasant. Grandmaster would appear ordinary and mediocre, but his words possessed extreme penetrating power, directly speaking Qin Ming's thoughts out loud. Qin Ming still wasn't affected, nodding, saying, yes, although Heaven Do Imperial Academy has the title of the #1 academy in Heaven Do Empire, regarding such young but already so powerful spirit masters, their position is steadily deteriorating. The academy leadership is looking for talents as if thirsting for them. If the juniors go, I can't guarantee they won't have some notions. I'm afraid they would exploit every kind of relation to as far as possible convince the juniors to stay. Wouldn't that be the same as undermining the walls of our Shrek Academy? Flender smiled. Little Ming, you're pretty good. Worthy of being from my Shrek Academy, you know to give thought to the academy. Grandmaster, Little Ming isn't a stranger. If you have something to say then just say it. Grandmaster shot a glance at Flender. I'm saying, Teacher Qin, if I remember correctly, as an academy established by the Heaven Do Empire Imperial family, for that pageant in 1 year, Heaven Do Imperial Academy should have 2 allocated places to compete. I can let these children temporarily act as exchange students to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy, until after the pageant in 1 year has ended. I think, words like these would be favorable to you. Qin Ming was gobsmacked. Grandmaster, you're saying that you would let the juniors represent Heaven Do Imperial Academy to go participate in that pageant. But like that, Heaven Do Academy will certainly declare to the outside that the juniors are Heaven Do's people. Grandmaster calmly smiled, saying, having the fame of graduating an academy isn't anything bad. No, I don't consent to it. Flender angrily slapped the table and stood up, glaring at Grandmaster. The children are Shreks, Grandmaster, don't forget that Shrek Academy is 20 years of my life's blood. Grandmaster didn't show any change from Flender's anger. Flender, I'll pose you several problems. If you can settle them, then, it doesn't matter whether the children go to Heaven Do. First, can you offer the children mimicry cultivation environments? Second, can you provide them with qualifications to enter the Continental Elite Spirit Master Academy Grand Competition in 1 year? Third, for what reason do you believe that after entering the Heaven Do Imperial Academy, these children wouldn't be part of Shrek? Perhaps you can't comprehend why I'm doing this, but I must still ask you one last question. What was your intention when you established Shrek Academy? Flender was dumbstruck and unable to reply from Grandmaster's rapid-fire questions, glaring at Grandmaster, but that anger just now was already gradually fading, gradually becoming disappointment. Grandmaster calmly said, mimicry cultivation environments, able to provide their spirit power cultivation speed with another boost. The All-Continent Spirit Master Academy Elite Grand Competition stipulates academies can only participate after passing a preliminary competition, but Shrek Academy isn't registered with any kingdom or empire. Because we don't have the corresponding hardware, even though Shrek Academy is famous in the Spirit Master world, that still can't produce the qualifications for participating. And you should be well aware what the rewards are in the Continental Spirit Master Academy Elite Grand Competition, how significant to the children. The ideal you originally established Shrek Academy with was to foster geniuses of the Spirit Master world, letting them shock the entire Spirit Master world. But I choose their path, as far as possible letting them walk it smoothly. Furthermore, I still haven't finished talking. Saying this, Grandmaster turned to Qin Ming. To let these children enter Heaven Do Imperial Academy, I have one condition. The Academy must admit all the present Shrek Academy teachers. Furthermore, let us personally come to teach these children. Heaven Do Imperial Academy cannot interfere. In other words, they can substitute for Heaven Do Academy's reputation, but their education is still done by us. When we want to leave, Heaven Do Academy also doesn't have the qualifications to stop us. Flender sat back down again, lifting his cup of ale in both hands, pouring it down his throat in great gulps. Qin Ming smiled wryly towards Grandmaster. Grandmaster, you've really given me a difficult problem. Honestly, standing at Heaven Do Imperial Academy's angle, able to let the juniors represent Heaven Do Imperial Academy to fight would no doubt bring endless credit to the Academy, greatly raising the Academy's reputation. The conditions you raised also aren't excessive. All teachers are celebrated spirit masters. The Academy wouldn't refuse, and furthermore would provide the best rewards. Only, Shrek Academy is the crystallization of Dean Flender's heart's blood. If we truly did this, then hereafter perhaps. All right, let's do what Xiao Gang just said. Flender stood up again, his expression having already recovered its calm. What Xiao Gang said is right. I shouldn't only consider my pride. Everything should be for the good of the children. Heaven Do Imperial Academy belongs to the Heaven Do Empire Imperial family, a rare pure spirit master land without interference from Spirit Hall. The children won't come to grief there. The Shrek Academy teachers can also have a place to retire. Until now, I've only considered my own notions, but everyone still always followed me. Right now we've become old. We should find everyone a place to return to. Heaven Do Imperial Academy. This reputation isn't bad. Furthermore, the children can also obtain even better growth there. This matter is decided. You talk it over. Xiao Gang and Zhao Wuji will represent me. I'll return by myself to rest. Finished speaking, Flender turned and left. Zhao Wuji gave Ma Hongjun a meaningful look, and Fatty immediately understood. He didn't even look at the plates of food being served, hastily chasing after Flender. At this time, this Fatty was even more able to console Flender than Grandmaster and Zhao Wuji. Grandmaster sighed. Although Flender is a bit stubborn, he really isn't an unreasonable person. I believe he will think it through clearly. Zhao Wuji smiled wryly. After all, the Academy has been backed by us for all these years. It's not that Flender doesn't understand the merits of your proposal. Even if he has decided to close the Academy after these children graduate, truly at this moment, in his heart he still can't easily accept it. To us, this really is somewhat abrupt. We've already lived here for 20 years. Grandmaster nodded. He can only rely on himself for this. Zhao Wuji said, perhaps to us this is also the best place to end up at. Grandmaster, thank you. I know that your proposal isn't just for the children, but also for Flender and us. Heaven Do Imperial Academy is a place that receives little influence from Spirit Hall. It also has sufficient fame. You're doing your best to care for Flender's face. Retiring there seems pretty good. Showing a smile, Zhao Wuji's expression was uncomplicated. He wasn't Flender, and didn't have Flender's face and stubborn heart. Admittedly, being at Shrek Academy for 20 years made him reluctant to leave, but equally, he was tiring somewhat. Changing environment might not be a bad thing. For these matters the Shrek 7 devils didn't interject anything. Besides Ma Hongjun, who had chased after Flender, the other 6 looked at each other. This abrupt change diluted their joy after the victory, even so much that their hearts weren't in eating. Flender stood in the doorway, looking up at the full moon and starlight decorating the night sky, calmly saying, "What are you doing following me? Go eat." Ma Hongjun at present didn't have his normal somewhat lascivious smiling expression, deferentially standing next to Flender. "Teacher, don't feel sad." Flender shook his head. "I'm not sad, only more or less frustrated, that's all. This all came somewhat quickly for me. Hongjun, I find that your evil fire problem seems to have fallen off a lot in this time following Grandmaster's training. What's the matter? Hearing his teacher mention his evil fire, Fatty's smile reappeared, scratching his head, saying, I also don't know how it came about. Only in this time I've really been too tired. Apparently all my energy has already been spent. I basically haven't even thought about that. Flender's face revealed a faint smile. This is a good phenomenon. Your spirit is in the process of imperceptible influence from variation. Perhaps, not long from now you might not suffer the problems it causes. Good, you go back. No need to console me. I'll just think things over a while. Ma Hongjin blinked, rubbing his plump face. Teacher, this is actually just borrowing a chicken to lay an egg. Honestly, I'm not too clear on why you're depressed. Borrowing a chicken to lay an egg. Flender turned to look at his direct disciple, somewhat astounded, repeating his words. Ma Hongjun hastily nodded. Yes, isn't that borrowing a chicken to lay an egg? Borrowing that Imperial Family Academy's facilities to train us, and as helping them fight is also equivalent to paying a fee. I don't know about other people, but I wouldn't think of us as belonging to that Imperial Family Academy. I'll always be your disciple, Shrek's evil fire phoenix. Flender stupidly stared at Ma Hongjun, although Fatty comparatively wasn't up to much, but he made Flender's mind seem to slam open a door. Borrowing a chicken to lay an egg. Borrowing a chicken to lay an egg. Excellently, borrowing a chicken to lay an egg. It seems, I really am too stubborn. A bit early, a bit late, what's the difference? Shrek will after all end, but once left behind everything will forever be unable to change. Xiao Gang, thank you for helping me draw this end to Shrek. Early the next day, everyone from the Shrek Academy settled their accounts and left the hotel, concluding this 1 month of second stage training. Perhaps, to their bodies, this second stage training wasn't as extreme as the first stage, but the psychological stress made the Shrek 7 devils even more exhausted. Each day confronting different opponents, each day going all out to obtain victory, facing powerful enemies, not only confronting the opponents, but also coordinating with their comrades. The spirit fights were completely different from exchanging pointers between each other. That was true battle. At the same time as it gave abundant combat experience, it also let the Shrek 7 devils clearly understand the effects of the first stage demonic training. Combat endurance, toughness as well as recovery strength, all had improved amply. Otherwise, how could they have endured participating in high-intensity battles every day, especially those participating in 3 spirit fights each day, even more completely displayed the effects of the first stage demonic training in their spirit fights. Besides basic training and real combat experience, what Grandmaster gave them also had a second hidden meaning. That was preserving fighting strength. Returning to that familiar little village, although it wasn't as bustling as Suotuo City, it also had less noise than the markets, homes feeling so familiar to the Shrek 7 devils. Shrek Academy had long since become an existence like home. Flender's mood had already recovered to normal. Even Zhao Wuji, who had followed him for 20 years, hadn't expected him to come around this quickly. Flender was already striking the auctioneer's hammer. Everything moved according to Grandmaster's plan. As for everything after they entered the Imperial Academy, that was Qin Ming's problem. You children go rest. This has been exhausting for you. Wuji, you call over everyone. As soon as Flender returned to the academy, he started issuing orders. This Shrek Academy didn't consist of him alone. There were still 3 additional teachers. He also equally had to solicit their opinions. Oscar returned to the dormitory. He was unable to deal with the dust that had gathered on his bed over 1 month, directly falling onto the bed. Still is comfortable coming home. Little San, don't wake me. I want to sleep a lot, sleep until I wake on my own. Tang San looked at Oscar spread-eagled on the bed and shook his head. This fellow, if someone didn't force him to cultivate his lazy character, might have already wasted his outstanding spirit. According to Grandmaster's negotiations with Qin Ming, everyone from Shrek Academy would travel to Heaven Du Imperial Academy in 2 months to study as exchange students. Until then, Qin Ming would handle matters over at Heaven Du Imperial Academy's end. The Shrek Academy's side still had to deal with some preparations. Grandmaster wasn't at all anxious to start the third stage training. Before leaving Suotuo City today, he gave the Shrek 7 Devils a very simple task. Within these 2 months, first, dealing with their own problems, second, assimilating the combat experience obtained from the past month of spirit fighting. At the same time, these 2 months were also a time for spirit power training. Grandmaster requested that, besides necessary matters, each person would focus their energy on cultivating spirit power. Oscar very quickly entered Dreamland, but Tang San thought over his affairs. There was still 2 months. He had to handle some necessary matters well, especially his promise to Ning Rongrong, what is called accepting a commitment, working honestly. Promises to others naturally must be satisfied. Thinking of this, Tang San got up and left the dorm, walking over toward Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu's dorm. So tired, Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu were right now both taking off their outer clothing, each lying down on their beds. They naturally wouldn't be as slovenly as Oscar. The bed covers and sheets and other bedding had been changed for new ones. Xiao Wu said, "Yeah, when fighting in Suotuo day after day, I wouldn't have thought that when coming back I would feel so tired. This must be what Grandmaster called the fatigue period. Rongrong, your skin really is nice. Even I can't help but drool." Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu right now only wore half-length chest cloths and small hot pants, sprawling on the bed with bare arms and legs. Ning Rongrong indeed had nice skin. Among the 3 girls of the Shrek 7 Devils, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing envied her tender lychee-like skin. Her fair skin was basically without blemishes, and especially the kind of gem-like sleek feeling. It truly was a feeling like sheep-fat white jade. Although they both weren't completely developed, girls always developed earlier than boys, and the small figures already had come far. Of course, in terms of development, Zhu Zhuqing clearly was ahead among the 3 girls. Ning Rongrong giggled, opening her eyes wide and looking suddenly at Xiao Wu. "You're also very pretty. I'm pure white, and you're pink white. I don't have your healthy appearance." Xiao Wu's proportions were slightly off from an ordinary person. Her legs were especially long. Generally speaking, a human body to leg proportion of 62% or so was the perfect golden ratio, but Xiao Wu already surpassed 65. She still didn't give people a feeling of being lanky, instead rather harmonious. Those somewhat overly long legs stretched out, skin equally delicate, although not as white as Ning Rongrong, rather somewhat flushed. Especially below her slender waist, since her waist was truly thin, it drew a perfect arc down to her pert buttocks. The long legs revealed below the hot pants made even Ning Rongrong drool. Adding her perfect figure to the scorpion braid long enough to reach the ground, she gave people a kind of lovely next-door neighbor little sister feeling. Of course, if someone truly took her for an impressionable neighborly little sister, perhaps that scene with the vulgar Uncle Bula would be staged again. Ning Rongrong lowered her voice, saying, "Xiao Wu, tell me, why don't we have Zhuqing's size here? I really envy her." While speaking, Ning Rongrong lightly rubbed her chest. Xiao Wu blushed, lightly spitting out, "You should ask her. How would I know? Is it really better to be big there?" The subjects in the girl dorms were frequently more heated than in the boys' dorms. Ning Rongrong cackled, "How could it be bad? Back when I was at the school, the men liked women who were big there, might be we're still too young. You see Boss Dai chase after Zhuqing every day, perhaps it's because she's big there." Xiao Wu giggled, saying, "What do you know? Isn't Oscar also chasing after you every day?" Ning Rongrong stuck out her tongue, saying, "Actually little Ao is a good person, only." Saying this, she couldn't help sighing. Her expression appeared somewhat strange. "What is it?" Xiao Wu puzzled asked. Ning Rongrong softly shook her head. "School regulations. Me and little Ao is impossible. Furthermore, we're both still this young. It's still too early to talk about this." Xiao Wu puzzled said, "What rules? Don't tell me it's because Oscar isn't from a noble family." Ning Rongrong shook her head. "That's not it. Our Seven Treasures glazed tile school never discriminates against spirit masters with common backgrounds. Otherwise, how would we have so many spirit masters willing to be affiliated to the clan? Only, by clan regulations, members directly related to the clan mustn't join with auxiliary system spirit masters. This is also for security considerations for direct clan members. Generally speaking, our clansmen are united with battle spirit masters. After all, protection from a spouse will always be more reliable than other people. But Little Ao is also an auxiliary system spirit master. That's why I say it's impossible between us. Xiao Wu suddenly understood. So it's like this. Your Seven Treasures glazed tile school have such rules. However, you should tell Little Ao this earlier. Let him have some other considerations. Ning Rongrong's beautiful eyes were despondent for a moment. Then she forcefully roused herself and said, "Don't talk about me. Let's move over to you. I really envy you and Tang San." Saying this, her face suddenly took on a mysterious expression. "I heard, if you want to grow a bit bigger here, letting a man massage you has results. Why don't you let Tang San massage you?" "Pa, Rongrong, why are you like this?" Xiao Wu's charming face blushed furiously. "Who told you all of this?" Ning Rongrong grinned. "Clan big sisters, I heard them talking about it." "Should be true." Xiao Wu snapped. "Don't talk nonsense. Me and Little San are siblings. How could you'd embarrass the dead." Ning Rongrong turned over and sat up on her bed. "The way I see it, it's big brother and little sister, but you also aren't blood related. If you ask other people, nobody would regard you as siblings. You simply belong to Little San. You haven't seen Little San's appearance when his eyes turn red for you. He'd scare the dead, last time in Stardew Great Forest when you were snatched by the Titan giant ape. It was like he went completely insane. If it weren't for you coming back later, I really don't know what he would have done. Last time when me and Zhuqing gossiped, even Zhuqing envied you. She told me then that if Dai Mabai was like Little San she'd be satisfied." Xiao Wu said, "Rongrong, did she say what her relationship with Dai Mabai actually is? Why would Boss Dai treat her so specially? Like when we just entered the academy, you're also very beautiful, but we didn't see any reaction from Boss Dai." Ning Rongrong stuck out her tongue, saying, "I also don't know. I asked, but Zhuqing didn't want to say, just telling me a line about them being acquainted from before. Perhaps it's childhood sweethearts, but I can't say for sure." Xiao Wu shook her head. She still clearly remembered the first time Dai Mabai saw Zhuqing when she and Tang San had just come to the academy. He seemingly didn't know her and only said the two might be able to use the spirit fusion ability. At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. Ning Rongrong asked, "Who is it?" "It's me, Tang San." "Ah, your Little San's here." Ning Rongrong hurriedly pulled on her clothes. Xiao Wu also jumped with fright, and she didn't move as fast as Ning Rongrong. Once Ning Rongrong stepped forward to open the door, she'd barely managed to get her clothes on. Stepping into the two girls' dorm, Tang San was also somewhat embarrassed. Making him even more baffled was that Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu both looked at him with somewhat strange expressions. "What? Why are you both looking at me like that?" Tang San distrustfully asked. It's because." Ning Rongrong giggling just started to speak, but a furiously blushing Xiao Wu hastily covered her mouth. Xiao Wu glared at her brimming with menace while her heart thumped like a little deer. Thinking of what Ning Rongrong said before, her chest couldn't help but feel a burst of numbness. Tang San naturally couldn't understand the minds of these girls. He could even less know of the little secrets they talked about in their chambers. Momentarily feeling somewhat at a loss what to do, were it not for truly having some business, perhaps he would have first left the room. Ning Rongrong repeatedly nodded to Xiao Wu, indicating she wouldn't make any irresponsible remarks. Xiao Wu then removed her hand from her mouth, stepping forward to obstruct Ning Rongrong and asked Tang San, "Little San, why did you come?" Tang San smiling said, "I came for Rongrong. We still have 2 months before going to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. I previously promised Rongrong to help her family by providing mechanical hidden weapons. After we go to Heaven Do Academy, perhaps I might not have the time, therefore I wanted to confirm this matter with Rongrong. Ning Rongrong then knew Tang San had come to find her. Little San, you gave me the Zhuge godly crossbow just a few days ago. This matter is something only my dad can decide. For the moment it's still enough. It would be better like this. I'll ask Dean Flender for a leave of absence for a trip home. I think Dad should agree. In this month, participating in spirit fights, the components for altogether 10 godly Zhuge crossbows had already been manufactured. Tang San would smoothly reassemble them and give one each. By now, Tang San's mechanical hidden weapon had already been successfully reproduced for everyone. Tang San nodded, saying, "That's also fine, only, will you be safe returning alone?" Ning Rongrong giggled, saying, "I couldn't not be safe. Actually I know that around our academy there have always been bodyguards from our family. It would be impossible for Dad not to know I'm here. He's never had people bring me back, so clearly he approves of me studying at the academy. When I return there I will naturally have protection." Tang San suddenly understood. Then like this would be best. Rongrong, don't forget how to use those hidden weapons. When using them you have to take all possible care, don't get injured accidentally. Especially the godly Zhuge crossbow. It's too powerful. Furthermore it also requires time to arm, so don't use it rashly. Ning Rongrong smiled. I know. Well, then I'll go look for the dean right now. Actually, my family's 7 treasure city isn't far from Heaven Do Imperial City. Later I'll go directly from home to Heaven Do Imperial Academy to find you. Tang San said, "If it's like this, then you going back right now doesn't matter. Wait until after we're at Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Only that side is comparatively far from Suotuo City. I don't know whether it will be easy to again find as good a smithy as here." Ning Rongrong smiled. "So you were worried about this? That's no problem. My home has smithies. If you're not worried about leaking your hidden weapon secrets, letting the smithies at my home make the components is fine. The craftsmanship absolutely won't be an issue." A classifier for extremely glossy and smooth white jade. Volume 8. Emperor Team. Chapter 55. Flying God Claw. Tang San considered it, then nodded. "That's fine. It's actually not something that has to be kept secret. Some things can't be mastered by being learned. With how famous Tang Sect hidden weapons were, how could there not be counterfeits? But in Tang San's world the Tang Sect stood tall for centuries, yet there were never any hidden weapons that could surpass Tang Sect's. A common Tang Sect hidden weapon technician required 10 years of training. Tang San was extremely gifted in this respect, but he also underwent 20 years of continuous research and manufacturing to reach the Grandmaster level of creating mechanical hidden weapons. Wanting to create counterfeits was practically impossible. Ning Rongrong said, "Then even better. No need to return first. To tell the truth, I'm still really afraid to return after Dad wouldn't let me leave. There's no need for training in this time, so we can properly play around. Xiao Wu, where do you think we should go play? Tang San, will you go with us?" Tang San frowned. Teacher said to have everyone cultivate spirit power. "Rongrong, did you forget?" Ning Rongrong stuck out her tongue, smiling, "Doesn't matter. I won't go far. Right now among us Shrek 7 devils my spirit power is the weakest. I know I have to work hard. But we also have to relax sometime, balancing work and play." Xiao Wu nodded, saying, "Rongrong makes sense. Little San, you have to come with us for a stroll." Tang San shook his head. "Let it be. I still have a lot of things to do. You go. Pay attention to your safety." After speaking, he hastily took his leave, always feeling somewhat uncomfortable in the girls' dorm. Tang San had long ago properly thought out what to do in these 2 months before returning to the road. Through the danger last time in Stardew Great Forest, Tang San more and more felt his own strength was insufficient. Although after getting 8 spider lances he had an even greater advantage against equal-level spirit masters, once the level gap increased somewhat, this advantage would disappear completely. Against less than 40th rank spirit masters, Tang San basically had confidence in his victory. Beyond 40th rank, it would depend on the opposing spirit master's category and attributes. If the opponent's attributes were something that he could restrain, he believed he wasn't powerless if he relied on hidden weapons, but if the opponent could restrain him, it was practically impossible to come out on top. The furnace Tang San bought from the smithy last time had already been delivered long ago. Before returning today, he passed by the smithy and specially ordered a batch of metal. Spirit fighting had netted him more than 5,000 gold coins, so buying some first-rate metal was no problem. Adding to the metals he purchased last time, he was prepared to in these 2 months increase his armament strength somewhat, at the same time increasing hidden weapon technique drills. With insufficient inner strength, the more powerful Tang Sect exquisite Inner Sect hidden weapons would be unable to display their strength. Therefore Tang San still had to rely on his most expert mechanical type hidden weapons techniques. Although Shrek Academy was crude, the size still wasn't small. Adding that teachers and students were few, when the furnace and tools had arrived, he had asked Flender for an empty house to use. Of course, it wasn't for free. Leaving Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong's dorm, Tang San directly arrived at this house. It was built very simply from stone bricks. Although it wasn't very standardized, it was stable and durable. This was the most common way of building among commoners. The room wasn't large, with close to 30 square meters. Forging furnace, calciner, over to pounding anvil, forging hammer. Everything was included. Only since he hadn't had time to use them, everything was somewhat corroded. In a corner, there was also a large pile of charcoal and chunks of every kind of metal, the majority of which hadn't undergone any processing. Tang San simply put the room in order. As he grasped the casting hammer, a familiar feeling arose involuntarily. In his mind, he couldn't help recalling when his father taught him forging. Despite Tang Hao not instructing Tang San for very long, that time was nevertheless when he'd been closest to his father since being born. Tang San recalled every sentence Tang Hao had said to him in that time. A godly craftsman isn't at all a smith that uses godly materials to make godly tools, rather one that uses ordinary materials to make godly tools. Tang San, muttering, repeated his father's words. The forging hammer in his hand whirled along with his lower legs, generating force. Without any target, creating a whistling sound, the forging hammer danced in the room as Tang San's hands moved, each swing filled with inner strength. Half turning his body, swing after swing joined together, flawless without exception. The change of inner strength in his body allowed Tang San to use this disorder-splitting wind hammer method with another level of skill. Despite not having a target for the hammer, that feeling of joyfully unrestrained venting brought him a feeling entirely free from worry. Tang San stopped after 9,981 continuous swings. His clothes were already drenched with sweat. Overjoyed, truly overjoyed, Tang San raised the forging hammer before him, in his mind constantly replaying the scenes of studying forging at Tang Sect and under Tang Hao. For a moment all sorts of feelings welled up in his heart. 13 years old, meaning he had already been in this world for 13 years. In this all-new world he had obtained many things he never had before: family, friends, spirit ability. These had all already completely blended with his soul. Tang San's figure flickered, already reaching the area piled with metal, forging hammer striking a half-meter diameter chunk of refined iron. The struck iron tilted somewhat, stretching out his toes, lightly raising him, lifting that close to 100 jin chunk of iron. He stretched out his left hand and grabbed the chunk of iron. Tang Sect, a mark that can never be forgotten. I will definitely let you blossom brilliantly in this new world. Dropping the iron in the casting furnace, Tang San piled charcoal with practiced motions, igniting it, working the bellows. Rhythmically, a strong sound of bellows began to reverberate within the stone house. In just a moment's work, deep red flames burst out, the forging furnace starting to recover its use. Tang San had never forgotten his father's words. He also understood why his father would say that using common iron to forge godly tools was the meaning of a godly craftsman. That wasn't only a matter of skill, even more important was staunch perseverance. Even average iron, if struck more than 10,000 times, would become the strongest kind of iron. Tang Sect's requirements of their own hidden weapons were extremely strict, and as a once well-known figure among mechanical-type hidden weapon makers, Tang San was even more rigorous about his own work. He absolutely wouldn't let his hidden weapons show issues with quality that could put him in a dangerous situation. The iron burned deep red, like an incomparably immense chunk of ruby. It was also only once it was completely red that he could see the impurities within. The forging hammer leapt into Tang San's hand, and its dance began. Dang, 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 pounding full of rhythm and tempo reverberated from within the stone house. Tang San had started his forging. From this day on, besides eating, Tang San didn't even return to his dorm to sleep. Every day constantly forging. When tired, he would sit down on the ground and cultivate spirit power. Once his energy had recovered, he immediately started working again. Nobody knew what Tang San was making, even Grandmaster didn't understand, but Grandmaster never went to find him at his forge. With complete confidence, Grandmaster believed that Tang San absolutely wouldn't abandon his cultivation for forging. Only one person entered the forging room, Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu would go to the forge every day. She didn't disturb Tang San, only quietly left clean clothes to the side, poured some water and peeled and cored some fruit, arranging it there before quietly leaving. It wasn't that she didn't want to speak with Tang San, it was only that since she came to know Tang San, she had never before seen him so completely wrapped up in his work over anything. Tang San's body, brimming with the smell of metal, was all over-colored with iron dust and coke. Xiao Wu was somewhat concerned over Tang San's present condition. Only as she once again entered the forge and saw Tang San had changed into the clean clothes, drunk the water she'd poured and emptied the plate of fruit, she would feel somewhat gratified. Day after day passed, the pounding sound from within the forge only became even more intense. Every day before there was even any light, the sounds began. Only when the gathering darkness completely replaced the daylight would it stop. Meanwhile, even if it was when eating at the dining hall, Tang San would appear uncommunicative, constantly in a kind of reflective mood. In this kind of situation, even Dai Mabai looked for Grandmaster and Flender, but Grandmaster only said to not to disturb him. Deep blue gradually replaced pure black. In the distant horizon, a golden thread gradually appeared in its misty splendor. Dawn was coming once again. The forging room's door opened, one person walking out from inside, with disheveled hair, a face covered in iron dust, furthermore with a bare torso smeared with iron dust and coke and brimming with sturdy muscle. He appeared even stronger than before, and his height seemed to have increased a fraction. Faint purple glinted in his piercing eyes, with a feeling of absorbing people's hearts and souls. Looking far into the distance, looking at that golden ray gradually expanding in the east, his eyes filled with purple. Quietly lifting his two hands, he clenched them tightly. His whole body braced was as if it was steel, like a cheetah waiting to pounce. Filled with the beauty of wild power. 49 days. It took me a total of 49 days, but I've finally completed it. He slowly opened his palms. A pair of perfectly round iron balls appeared in his hands. The iron balls were black. Despite being under the sun, there wasn't any reflection from it. However, a layer of cold air quietly escaped from within the balls. There were 16 identical balls behind him in the room. If the Shrek's 7 monsters found out that he had spent most of his energy during these 2 months working on developing these 18 iron balls, what would be their reaction? Tang San started kneading the 2 metal balls in his hands and murmured, "The only thing missing now is poison. I really want to make another Buddha Fury Tang Lotus, and that unfinished torrential rain pear blossom needle. It's a pity the materials in this world are too restricted." His hand slightly shook and the 2 metal balls flew out. One left and one right, both noiselessly. They bizarrely made 2 arcs in the air and flew back into his hands. In his palms they never stopped spinning, but the entire time they didn't touch at all. After habitually training his purple demon eyes, Tang San walked into the forging room. The metal in the room had already all vanished, including those Tang San bought from the smithy later. His right hand wiped the table, and including the 2 in his hand, the 18 metal balls all vanished into his 24 moonlit bridges. His gaze fell onto the corner of the room. On the only clean chair was a set of clean clothes laid there. That was what Xiao Wu sent in yesterday. Looking at him, Tang San's eyes couldn't help but let out a trace of gentleness. What Tang San admired most in Xiao Wu was that she knew what to do at any time. Usually, she was always cheerful and exuberant, but when he needed quiet, she never disturbed him even slightly. All she did was silently doing her seemingly insignificant things, yet these things were what people never forgot. Right now the day was still early. According to usual, no one would wake up in Shrek Academy at this time. Tang San got some cold water and bathed, cleaning himself from head to toes and then finally putting on the clean clothes Xiao Wu delivered, making him feel fresh and cool. Putting everything in order, a sense of relaxation went through his body. Tang San raised his right hand in front of him and a faint blue light came out of his palm. Blue-silver grass quietly sprouted out, swaying in his palm. Looks like I improved again. Tang San smiled happily. To Tang San, the 49 days of forging tested his physical strength and mental power just as much as the devilish training Grandmaster forced them through. Every day he was continuously forging and thinking. The stress on his body was just as much as the weighted runs. If not for his endurable and tough body and the help of inner power, he might have already stopped. But it was also because of this everyday exercise that all his muscles were now more taut. The most obvious change was on his arms. They were thicker by one size and didn't have a single bit of excess fat. Every ridge of his muscles was well defined. His shoulders were wider and in every single movement, his muscles would noticeably contract and retract. However, Tang San's hands were still as slim and flawless as before, with no calluses at all. Not only his endurance and spirit power improved, his mysterious jade hand also improved. According to Tang San's own estimates, these 49 days of almost insane forging let his spirit power improve once again, rising to 33rd rank. Of course, this wasn't only the result of the 2 months. The previous months also played a key role in this improvement. In almost 4 months' time, his spirit power ranked up again. This speed could only be described as terrifying. Though he broke through rank 30, every rank needs accumulating. For normal people, it would take at least more than half a year. Those with less talent might even need a year to rank up. When Tang San walked into the cafeteria, what surprised him was that everyone were there and had started eating already. It turned out that that day wasn't the first day they woke up this early, but Tang San was too busy thinking about forging to notice this. Here comes our Iron Man. Yo, why is Iron Man so clean today? Dai Mabai spoke with a smiling face. Dai Mabai was always very arrogant, and he also had the skills to support it. But in front of Tang San, he couldn't act arrogant no matter what. Though Tang San's spirit power was lower than his, Dai Mabai knew that if they were really fighting for their lives, he couldn't beat Tang San. In the entire Shrek's 7 monsters, Tang San undoubtedly had become the most important one. But Dai Mabai also knew Tang San's achievement wasn't simply from innate talent. During these 49 days, though no one knows what Tang San was doing, everyone could hear the almost never halting pounding of his hammer. What kind of willpower was needed to complete this? Under Tang San's stimulation, not only Dai Mabai, including the laziest Oscar, everyone were also working hard to cultivate their spirit power. Grandmaster put forward a way of cultivating without sleep to them so that everyone could replace sleep with spirit power cultivation. Other than the necessary spirit ability training and physical exercise, the rest of the time was all put into cultivation. Though the process was dull, it proved beneficial for their strength. In the time, Xiao Wu's spirit power raised to rank 32, and the other's spirit power also had a not insignificant increase. Now, Shrek's 7 devils' spirit power ranks were Evil Eye White Tiger Dai Mabai, 38th rank Battle Spirit Elder. Sausage Monopoly Oscar, 31st rank Tool Spirit Elder. Thousand Hand Asura Tang San, 33rd rank Battle Spirit Elder. Evil Fire Phoenix Ma Hongjun, 28th rank Battle Spirit Grandmaster. Soft Bones Demon Rabbit Xiao Wu, 32nd rank Battle Spirit Elder. 7 Treasures Glazed Ning Rongrong, 27th rank Tool Spirit Grandmaster. Hell Civet Zhu Zhuqing, 28th rank Battle Spirit Grandmaster. Tang San smiled slightly. I'm all done forging, so of course I came out. Checking the time, it isn't long until we have to go to Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Ning Rongrong said curiously, third brother, what good thing did you make this time? Let everyone see. Tang San said, really, I didn't make that many things this time because the construction of it is very troublesome. Other than a few hidden weapons, I also made everyone something practical. We also get some. Ning Rongrong was instantly exalted. The Shrek's 7 devils all let out a smile. Tang San's standard for hidden weapons was very strict. They already got an entire set of high-quality hidden weapons. If Tang San used that many days to make it, it couldn't be bad. Ma Hongjun chuckled, third brother is the best, sharing even due equally, quickly let everyone see. Xiao Wu glared at Ma Hongjun. What do you mean sharing due? That's a course. Little San hasn't even eaten yet, let him eat first. Ning Rongrong smiled. Xiao Wu is indeed still the most thoughtful for Tang San. Xiao Wu stuck out her tongue and gave Tang San the food specially left for him. Ever since Grandmaster came, Shrek Academy's food changed majorly. Of course, the breakfast wasn't paid by the Academy anymore, but the Shrek 7 devils paid themselves. The things were the same, and Grandmaster didn't hide the economic situation of the Academy. After 1 month of spirit battles, everyone had full wallets, so none of them cared about the small food expenses. Okay, I'll eat first. Let's go out later so I can demonstrate as well. The cafeteria is too small. Tang San smiled at Xiao Wu and took his breakfast and started gorging himself. The recent workload was way too much, so Tang San's appetite also rocketed upwards. In Shrek's 7 devils, he ate the most. The others had more or less eaten. While looking at Tang San gorging himself, inwardly they couldn't help but itch while thinking about Tang San's gift. Being under everyone's scrutiny couldn't feel particularly nice, especially when eating. Tang San quickly finished his breakfast, immediately standing up. Having you watching me like that, I'll get indigestion. Let's go, I'll give you something good outside. Xiao Wu very naturally collected the bowl and chopsticks Tang San had used to clear them away, but Tang San caught her hand, saying, there's time to clean up later. We'll go outside first. The group of 7 reached the academy grounds. The grounds were completely empty, sunshine sprinkling across the field. Right now was already early summer. Shrek Academy was at the center of the continent, so even if it was early morning, it was still extremely warm. Little San, quickly take it out. What kind of thing is it? Ning Rongrong said somewhat impatiently. Tang San smiled faintly, his right hand wiping across 24 moonlit bridges, taking out an unusual-looking thing. That was a cylindrical thing made entirely out of metal, its surface appearing silvery. It seemed to somewhat resemble the sleeve dart, but compared to the sleeve dart it was even bigger and thicker. Tang San, in order for everyone to see and understand clearly, pulled up the sleeve over his left arm, giving a pull with both hands, half opening the cylindrical object on one side, giving it the appearance of 2 half-cylinders. Everyone saw that the inside of the thing was lined with soft cloth. Tang San fastened it around his left lower arm, the cylindrical thing's length just enough to completely cover his lower arm. He first adjusted it a moment, then afterwards swung out his arm. The cylinder adhered to his arm, without the slightest amount of swaying, appearing tightly fitted. At this, even Xiao Wu couldn't help her curiosity. Little San, what is this thing? Is it more powerful than the sleeve dart? Tang San, smiling, shook his head, saying, "To be precise, it could be considered a kind of useful tool. I call it a flying god claw. Watch closely when I operate it." He pulled at the front of the top of the flying god claw, pulling out 5 rings and fastening them to the 5 fingers of his left hand. Immediately following, he tightened his fist. With a sharp and clear sonorous sound, a metal cone suddenly shot out, just far enough to move farther than his palm. Immediately afterward, the metal cone's front end suddenly burst open, changing into a metal claw. The claw had 5 fingers, glinting with cold light in the sunshine. Especially the tips of the claws gave a feeling like they were 5 cold stars. Tang San picked up a rock from the ground to the side. I used an alloy of several metals for the flying god claw, creating it after hard work and numerous revisions. It's extremely hard in itself, sufficient to pierce metal and pass through stone. This metal claw is its key feature. After the claw has opened, as long as it's touched just a little, the springs and gears I placed inside will move, causing the metal claw to immediately tighten. While speaking, he placed the rock in the metal claw. With just a whoosh sound, under everyone's dumbstruck gazes, the metal claw easily pierced into the rock like piercing tofu. The whole claw entered almost halfway. Tang San explained in detail. After the metal claw has been fastened, there are 5 different operations it can use. First, holding the fist closed but extending the forefinger, then, the metal claw will once again spring open, recovering to its previous appearance. Second, if the middle finger is extended, then the metal claw will cut down with all its power. Its strength is enormous, approximately able to pierce a thick steel plate. As for the other 3 kinds of functions, there are other corresponding effects. While speaking, he extended his middle finger. With a cracking sound, a cloud of dust rose. That ordinary piece of rock had unexpectedly been directly crushed. Seeing this scene, the other 6 Shrek 7 devils couldn't help but swallow. They really couldn't imagine how such a strong steel claw had been made. In fact, what Tang San called hard work and numerous revisions wasn't a bit exaggerated. After the metal had been successfully formed, even the forging hammer wasn't able to alter its form. Tang San had wasted vast amounts of spirit power, relying on his other spirit, the little hammer, to succeed. In the forging process, Tang San also discovered some special subtleties of that little hammer. As the metal and that seemingly not very large little hammer touched, unexpectedly it would cause a kind of unusual effect, regardless of which metal, on contact with the little hammer it would soften. Using it to create hidden weapons was practically like a tiger growing wings. Unfortunately, it really consumed too much spirit power and physical strength. Under the consumption, Tang San constantly had to meditate to recover. This was also a major reason why he was able to advance his spirit power to the 33rd rank in this time. Dai Mabai's heart twitched, saying, "What's really the use of this metal claw? If it's only like this, it seems I'd be better off with my tiger claws." Let alone piercing rock, with his current strength, even piercing gold and snapping jade was no problem for his tiger claws. Tang San calmly smiled, saying, "Of course it's not limited to this, otherwise it wouldn't be called flying god claw. Its principal use is to help us fly. Even though it's not true flight, as a tool it's still very useful. Watch, this is its 3rd function." While speaking, Tang San first once again sprang open the metal claw, and afterwards raised his left arm facing a large tree approximately 20 meters away. His thumb sharply extended, and with a whoosh sound, the steel claw attached on top of the arm guard shot out like a bolt of lightning, bringing a long brilliant light under the sunshine. In an eye blink it had already flown over. With a cracking sound, it directly grabbed into the tree trunk. Everyone clearly saw that attached to the back of the steel claw was a fine like linen metal rope. Immediately afterward, Tang San's ring finger stretched out, lightly pushing off the ground with his toes. His body followed the line like an arrow. Under the pull of that steel rope, in an eye blink he had leapt over onto that large tree. Toes lightly touching the tree, relying on the pull of the flying god claw, he moved horizontally around the tree trunk. Forefinger shooting out, releasing the steel claw, Tang San rose and landed back before everyone. In certain terrains, the flying god claw is able to display very good effects. At the same time, it can also be used to grab people. The length of the steel wire is 30 meters. Its pulling force is approximately 300 jin. As long as our body weight doesn't surpass 300 jin, we can rely on it to climb up high. The internal composition of each flying god claw was extraordinarily complex, as it was formed from a large amount of gears and springs. Of course, to Tang San, this wasn't any meticulous work. The true meticulousness was still those 18 iron balls resting in 24 moonlit bridges. Little finger extending, the iron claw withdrew into the arm guard. Tang San flicked his wrist, the 5 fingers separating from the iron rings automatically returning to the cover of the arm guard. It now appeared like a very ordinary steel arm guard. Ma Hongjun muttered, "This is simply an essential tool for leaping onto roofs and vaulting walls, slipping through doors and levering locks." Tang San snapped, "What are you calling sneaking through doors and levering locks? Fatty, you pay attention to your weight. If someday you surpass 300 jin, it will practically be useless for you. Also, when everyone assembles it, you must take care to remove the sleeve dart. Mabai, when you use your spirit your muscles change somewhat, therefore your flying god claw includes some elastic ropes. Like this it won't be damaged because of your muscles swelling." Apart from Tang San, the other Shrek 6 devils at this moment displayed their mutual rapport. Making the same motion towards Tang San, they stretched out their right hands. Although this flying god claw wouldn't appear to have much in the way of attack power, everyone were astute. Anyone would be able to think a number of effects just by looking at this thing. Regarding concrete uses, that still required getting to know it. Tang San pulled out 6 flying god claws and handed them over to everyone. Each one was custom made. Because everyone was still young, in order to deal with the size of the arm changing as they grew older, the openings of the flying god claws were connected with elastic rope. While fiddling with the flying god claw in his hand, Dai Mabai couldn't help saying, "Little San, I really don't know how your brain is made. Unexpectedly it's even able to think up this kind of thing." Tang San revealed a wry smile and thought to himself that how could he be able to baselessly imagine things like these? This was all the crystallization of many years of Tang Sect's effort. He had merely grasped how to create them, that's all. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye the 2 months of rest and preparation had already gone by. Shrek Academy's land was originally bought by Flender. It also wasn't any kind of expensive thing. The teachers didn't object to Grandmaster's proposal. In a moment the agreed upon time had arrived. At Flender's command, everyone packed up their things, preparing to set out, leaving for Heaven Do Imperial Academy. This day had moderate wind and beautiful sun, no clouds as far as the eye could see. Standing at the academy gate, Flender gazed up, appearing somewhat defeated at the board engraved with Shrek Academy's sign. For a moment all sorts of feelings welled up in his heart. 20 years. Living here for 20 years, this place had constantly bit by bit flowed into his heart. An acrid feeling appeared at his nose. Zhao Wuji put his arms around Flender's shoulders. "Don't look. Let's go. It's not like we won't return. If worst comes to worst, afterwards we brothers will accompany you back to retire." Flender glared at him. "You're saying I'm old?" Zhao Wuji smiled wryly. "Not old. Yes, we're both just 50, that's all, still not regarded as too old. However, all of us are also regarded as out of the ordinary. Unexpectedly not one of us is married." Flender snorted. "That's because your requirements are too high. How are women spirit masters so easy to find? Don't you know women spirit masters make up just 1/10 of all spirit masters? You then, aren't your requirements high? How come you're also unmarried?" Zhao Wuji, somewhat unreconciled, said. "Me, I." Flender looked distracted a moment, somewhat speechless. As he looked up towards Grandmaster, he discovered Grandmaster was also looking at him. The two's eyes showed something painful, practically simultaneously shaking their heads. "Let's go." Flender put his thoughts in order. passing down the order to set off. The party of 10 stepped forward, departing Shrek. Heaven Du Empire, imperial capital Heaven Du City, at the heart of northeastern Heaven Du Empire. It was the core of all of Tian Du's political power, also one of the 2 largest cities on the continent. On Douluo continent, only Star Lu Empire's imperial capital could match it. Although the 2 great empires' subordinate kingdoms and duchies weren't too accepting of control, they were still part of the empires. With Heaven Du City at its heart, what Heaven Du Empire directly controlled were the 3 neighboring great military districts, with a total force of more than 1 million, a profound strength. In some sense, Heaven Du Empire didn't have to force restrictions on the subordinate kingdoms with their own reasoning. Whether it was Heaven Du or Star Luo, the subordinate kingdoms and duchies of both great empires were for the most part on the border. If fighting broke out, it would certainly be these kingdoms and duchies that bore the brunt. Of course, this was also for lack of a better option. Which monarch wouldn't wish to use imperial power to rule everything? But right now the continent basically didn't permit circumstances for unification to appear. Volume 8. Emperor Team. Chapter 56. Rank Surpassing Challenge. Presently in the continent, besides the internal factors of the 2 empires, most significant was the clandestine interference from the several spirit master clans and spirit hall. Theoretically, in a single large and unified empire, how could these be allowed to exist to influence the ruling power? The Shrek Academy party wanted to go to Heaven Du City, but they needed to first leave Balak Kingdom, afterwards pass through the entire Silver's Kingdom to the north of Balak Kingdom, to finally enter Heaven Du Empire's imperial city boundaries. Further to the east, it would be entirely Heaven Du Empire's imperial city lands. The entire journey would be very far, spanning more than 2,000 kilometers. Thus can be seen how enormous the Heaven Du Empire's territory was. In the Shrek 7 devils, Dai Mabai, Tang San, Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong had their own spirit storage devices. Similarly, the teachers had ones too. Thus, as they journeyed, they didn't have to experience any frustrations of baggage. Before leaving, they bought food and prepared water in their spirit tools. Even if they couldn't resupply during the journey, this food and water would last them about 10 days. Okay, you little monsters. You have all rested for 2 months already. From now on it's full speed ahead. Everyone must follow my speed, if not, hey. Flender seemed to have returned to what he was previously. A devious light was emitted from his eyes. With one hand grabbing Grandmaster's arm, leaving behind those words, he already shot forward. Flender naturally didn't use his full strength to run. With Zhao Wuji in front of the academy teachers, they spread out on both sides as they followed him. Shrek 7 devils looked on and unhesitantly ran. They were already undaunted by burdened running. Normal running was nothing to them. Without even needing to use spirit power to assist them, even Oscar and Ning Rongrong could keep up to Flender's current speed. Grandmaster was being carried by Flender using spirit power. Thus he did not even need to waste any energy. Grandmaster suspiciously commented, "Flender, what is the meaning in this training? Their current body foundations are already very strong now." Flanders grinned, saying, "Is there really no meaning in this training? CO gang, these methods are not something you can use. Furthermore, even if this training had no meaning, rushing a little bit faster, wasting less time on the road, we can cut down on meals and stay in fewer hotels. This way, we should be able to save some money. Previously we agreed to use the previously won 3,000 gold coins on this 3rd stage of training. We should save as what we can. You really are the same as always." Grandmaster was momentarily speechless. In contrast to Flender, he never saw money as something of importance, always holding the ideal that the money he used could eventually be earned back. In any case, he was always a spirit grandmaster, and would always have Spirit Hall's stipend. Flender, somewhat deviously, only winked at Grandmaster. Suddenly he sped up, accelerating ahead like an arrow as it left a bow. Zhao Wuji, undoubtedly being the most familiar with Flender, helplessly looked at the sweet pea spirit master Shao Xin beside him and grabbed his arm. "Flender, that guy. Even if you want to save money, you don't have to torture our old bones. The auxiliary system spirit master obviously couldn't keep up with them, thus Zhao Wuji could only carry Shao Xin and increase his speed. With Flender's increase in speed, the Shrek 7 devils behind started to be unable to keep up. In the end, using only physical strength to run definitely couldn't match his speed when he was being assisted by spirit power. Furthermore, Flender was an agility attack system spirit master, and even a Spirit Emperor level agility attack system spirit master at that. In a hurry to keep up, Shrek 7 devils could only increase their speed accordingly. As a result, Ning Rongrong and Oscar could no longer continue by their own strength. Oscar was carried by Dai Mabai while Zhu Zhuqing and Xiao Wu took turns carrying Ning Rongrong. The 7 of them, like always, did not leaving anyone behind. They gave it their all and rushed ahead to catch up. The Shrek 7 devils had no qualms in using their spirit power for short periods, but how could their spirit power compete with their teachers? Flender's controlled speed was already their maximum speed. Within less than 2 hours, the Shrek 7 devils' spirit power was practically consumed. Flender saw that everyone behind him couldn't keep up and thus finally slowed down a little. Running with a normal speed, he gave the Shrek 7 devils time to eat the large sausage and recuperate a bit. Of course, Flender himself wouldn't eat Oscar's large sausage. A few sweet peas would be a lot more effective than the sausage. After all, that sweet pea spirit master Shao Xin's level was far above what Oscar could compare to. Using this method of running, within a day, Shrek 7 devils were as tired as when they had experienced Grandmaster's devil training again. Within just this day, they had already run close to 400 kilometers, completing about a fifth of the journey. Fortunately, Flender wasn't as stingy as he proclaimed. He didn't make everyone camp outside, but rather, settled for the night in a small town along the way. The so-called small town was actually just a relatively big village. The inn that the Shrek Academy party stayed in was actually the only inn in town. Even if it was a little shabby, it could still be said to be relatively clean. Flender once again fully demonstrated his stinginess, altogether asking for only 3 rooms. The teachers would only use 1 room, the male students used 1 room and the female students used 1 room. "I'm so worn out." Oscar immediately lay on the bed, still gasping for breath, with a face of euphoria. Everyone had ran for a day and was finally able to rest. No one really bothered about how simple or crude the place was. Dai Mabai snapped, "What do you have to be tired about? You were resting most of your body weight on me, okay?" Oscar said, "But I also had to make the large sausages and mushroom sausages for all of you. During that last part of the run, if not for my mushroom sausages, how would we be able to keep up? My consumption of spirit power was definitely not less than any of you. The consumption of spirit power also leads to fatigue." Ma Hongjun commented, "Don't complain anymore. The unluckiest would be me. I'm the heaviest, my speed also isn't very great either. I really wish that I could get a flying ability soon. Then, traveling wouldn't be a problem." Tang San laughed. "Don't complain anymore, hurry and sleep. Who knows what our great Dean will do again tomorrow." At this moment, there was a loud knock on the door, the room door opening a little. Xiao Wu stuck her head in from outside. "Little San, come out for a while." Tang San complied and left the room. "Xiao Wu, what is it?" Looking at a tired Xiao Wu, Tang San's heart couldn't help but hurt a little. Xiao Wu somewhat coquettishly pouting, "After running all day, my legs are sore." "Gee, massage my legs, all right." During their period of devilish training, every time Xiao Wu would feel tired and sore, Tang San would always help massage her legs. Ultimately, mysterious heavenly skill and spirit power had some differences. One of which was that spirit power was not at all useful for Taoist treatment methods. On the whole, spirit power was more overbearing, while mysterious heavenly skill was more stable and peaceful. "Okay, right here." Tang San doting rubbed Xiao Wu's head. "Do it here. Rongrong and Zhuqing are already asleep." As she spoke, Xiao Wu raised her right leg, showing off her flexibility, placing her slender calf on Tang San's shoulder. Tang San raised both hands, one hand kneading at her ankle and the other softly massaging the muscles of her calf. The mysterious heavenly skill's warmth directly penetrating the muscle, Xiao Wu comfortably closed her eyes, her young face blushing a little. As Tang San helped her massage her calf, he asked her, "If we're rushing like today again tomorrow and you can't take it anymore, let me carry you. There shouldn't be a problem with speed if I used my 8 spider lances." Xiao Wu giggled. "No need, I can handle it. Actually, this kind of tiredness is also good. I would have a reason to let you massage my legs. It's really comfortable." "Gee, why are your palms so warm?" Tang San shook his head. He doted on this little sister from the core of his heart. Not caring about the mud and dirt on her shoes, he softly massaged her foot, helping her relax. "How does this feel?" "Very comfortable. It seems like my legs aren't as sore anymore." Even separated by the shoe, the heat from Tang San's palms could still enter her feet. It felt just like soaking in the hot waters of a hot spring. The hot, comfortable feeling made Xiao Wu feel so comfortable, her vision blurred for a while. "Okay, change to the other leg." Xiao Wu looked at Tang San, expression somewhat congealed. "Gee, if we can always be this close in the future, and if you later get a wife, will you not want me?" Tang San smiled. "Silly girl, how can that be? At any point in time, you will always be my little sister." Concerning boy-girl relationships, he had never experienced them in his previous life. In this life, he understood them even less. Although he grew up without his father by his side, however, ever since he came to Shrek Academy, Tang San had never felt alone or empty. In terms of friendship, he had his companions. In terms of family, he had Xiao Wu and Grandmaster. He was already very satisfied with his current life. Xiao Wu giggled. "How about, after we grow up, I'll marry you, okay? Then I can be your little sister for as long as we live and let you take care of me." Tang San laughed and said, "Okay. It's just that you're so pretty, marrying me will embarrass you." Xiao Wu sighed. "I'm serious. What is there to be embarrassed about? In my heart, you are the best. Gee, did you know? Rongrong always teases me, saying that we're just brother and sister." Tang San looked blank for a bit, but she isn't wrong. "Aren't you my little sister?" Xiao Wu's charming face reddened. "Not like that. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, you're such a blockhead." As she spoke, she took back her long leg and walked behind Tang San, both hands gently squeezing on his shoulders. Although Xiao Wu's technique was a bit amateurish, it still allowed Tang San to feel comfortable. Especially that faint warm feeling, making Tang San's deep in his heart be softly moved. "All right, you should go to sleep earlier. We still need to travel tomorrow." Tang San somewhat reluctantly pushed away Xiao Wu's hands. "Okay," Xiao Wu replied, finally returning to her room. Her heart was beating quickly, her eyes were showing a somewhat hesitant and deep light. Returning to his room, what made Tang San surprised was that Daima Bai and the other two were not asleep yet. The three of them looked at Tang San as they tried to hide their smiles. Oscar rose from the bed, facing Daima Bai and raising a leg in his direction. With a coy voice he said, "After running for an entire day, my legs feel sore. Gee, massage my legs, all right." Daima Bai laughed, imitating Tang San's voice. "Okay. Right here." Oscar immediately followed up with, "N. Right here." Rongrong and Zhuqing are already sleeping. Looking at their creepy play, Tang San irritatedly said, "Great. You guys listened in on our conversation." Fatty darkly laughed at one side. "It's not that we eavesdropped. It's just that here, the walls are really bad. Gee, help me massage my leg too." As he spoke, he also gestured with his fat leg. Tang San earnestly nodded. "Fine, no problem. I heard, a bit of poison is actually helpful for the body, stretching muscles and improving blood circulation. I don't know if my 8 spider lances will do, but I'll use you to try it out." While speaking, he took off his jacket, exposing his bare torso, assuming an expression about to release 8 spider lances. Fatty jumped from fright, hastily pulling his quilt over him, somewhat bitterly shouting, "Don't, third brother, my mistake." His first encounter with 8 spider lances' powerful toxin left a deep impression with him. Tang San snapped, "Go to sleep." Dai Mabai chuckled, saying, "Tang San, Xiao Wu declared her position to you. You as her older brother mustn't be so slow-witted. Xiao Wu is a rare beauty. If you act fast you will have her, if you're slow you won't." Tang San stared blankly, "But we're siblings." "Fine, don't say anything. We're both still this young. It's still too early to discuss this. Do you think I'm fatty? I can't have his evil fire." Ma Hongjun stretched out his head from within his quilt, defiantly saying, "What about me? Relations between men and women are heaven's law and earth's principle. It's a primal instinct." Tang San glared at him, "I say you have instinct to spare." Dai Mabai also didn't say anything else, smiling, shaking his head, sitting down cross-legged on his bed to enter a meditative state. After an uneventful night, the second day's morning, everyone continued the journey. By now, they had already left Black Kingdom, entering the borders of Silver's kingdom. Fortunately, today Flender didn't speed up again, only leading the party towards the northeast at a regular pace. The same day, they reached Silver's kingdom's capital on the southern border, Silver's city. Flender unprecedentedly chose this major city to lodge at. Furthermore, at the time they entered the city, the sky was only just starting to darken. "Flender, are you all right?" When Flender brought everyone to check in at an expensive hotel, even Grandmaster, who could never hang on to coin, couldn't help feel strange. Furthermore, this time Flender unexpectedly rented 5 rooms, letting everyone live somewhat less crowded. Even dinner was unprecedentedly lavish. Whether it was Grandmaster or Zhao Wuji and the other teachers, everyone were baffled by Flender's actions. Always miserly, how would he suddenly become so generous? At dinner, Flender finally showed his true colors. Flender wore a smiling expression, raising a wine cup in front of him, saying, "Traveling for 2 days, to thank you all for your hard work, please eat to your heart's content." However, the little monsters are only allowed 1 cup of wine. Speaking, he led by example and poured the wine down his throat, and furthermore extremely enthusiastically received everyone's dishes. Dai Mabai said in a low voice by Tang San's ear, compared to a smile, "I wish we saw the Dean's solemn expression. I don't know why, but every time he smiles I feel his smile is so treacherous. You'll see, today our Dean spent so much, there's definitely a catch." Sure enough, as the wine made 3 rounds, after dishes of 5 flavors, Flender wiped his mouth, mildly saying to the Shrek 7 devils, "You also haven't had any real combat for 2 months. This Silver's city has a great spirit arena. This evening you should all go exercise a bit. There's no need to participate in all spirit battles. In order to not influence tomorrow's traveling, just join the team spirit battle." Dai Mabai, smiling widely, looked at the fox-tailed Flender, saying, "Dean, then the rewards we obtain this time, should it also be transferred to the academy?" Flender piously said, "Although the academy is already closed, as your dean, do you believe I would take possession of your rewards? You allocate your income as you see fit, unrelated to us." "Mabai, don't tell me you unexpectedly doubt my intentions." This time it was Dai Mabai's turn to stare blankly. Originally he thought Flender was planning to have them participate in a team spirit fight to obtain the rewards. Like this, with their current rank, for a team spirit fight everyone could obtain at least 100 cold spirit coins each, adding up to a considerable sum. He hadn't expected to be criticized by Flender's just words. Don't say, was this dean really all right? It was still Ma Hongjun who understood his teacher the best, mouthing words to Dai Mabai on the other side. Dai Mabai then suddenly understood. Ma Hongjun only mouthed one word, gambling. Yes, under equivalent level circumstances, even Emperor Team was unable to surpass the Shrek 7 devils. How would there be an opponent? As long as they placed some heavy bets on the team fight, then, naturally the earnings wouldn't be small. This was Flender's true scheme. Good. We'll set off. Flender delightedly settled the bill, asking for directions to Silver's Great Spirit Arena, bringing everyone to leave the hotel. Silver's Great Spirit Arena appeared even more magnificent than its Suotuo counterpart. This was after all Silver's Kingdom's capital city, still a level above Suotuo. Wearing those masks that had shaken Suotuo Great Spirit Arena, the Shrek 7 Devils once again set out. However, when Flender had the Shrek 7 Devils sign up for a team spirit fight, he was struck dumb. The Silver's Great Spirit Arena staff carefully inspected the Shrek 7 Devils spirit fighting badges, and couldn't help but uncomprehendingly look at the 7 spirit masters in front of him, finding it somewhat difficult to speak. My apologies, respected spirit masters, I'm afraid you can't participate in the team spirit fight. The Shrek 7 Devils were indifferent, Flender was not. One must know, since entering Silver's city he had already spent a lot of coin, hoping to be able to recoup it here. Why, don't tell me there are no people at the Great Spirit Arena. Flender angrily said. Although Flender was somewhat aggressive, the staff didn't refute him at all. A 30th level Gold Spirit Fighter team indeed had the qualifications to be aggressive. He had worked at the Great Spirit Arena for more than 20 years, but this was the first time such a monstrous Spirit Fighter team had appeared. My apologies, respected sir, but our Silver's Great Spirit Arena doesn't have a Gold Spirit Fighter team for a fair spirit fight. The staff member said embarrassedly. Flender said, then a Silver Spirit Fighter team is fine as well. Don't you see that among them is only one Spirit Master that just advanced to Gold Spirit Fighter? The staff member shook his head. That certainly won't do. First of all, we only have one Silver Spirit Fighter 30th level team, but letting them fight clearly is unfair. Presumably you also know the rules of the Great Spirit Arena. A team's level is counted according to the level of its highest member. To the side Zhao Wuji smiled with schadenfreude. Apparently, someone's plans fell through. Standing at Zhao Wuji's side, the 3 senior spirit masters Lu Jibin, Li Yu Song and Shao Xin couldn't help smiling. They didn't have any subordinate relationship with Flender. Before the establishment of Shrek Academy they were good friends. Watching Flender's defeat clearly was a form of entertainment to them. Flender, unresigned, asked, is there no other way? The staff member thought about it. It's not that there are no ways. If everyone agrees to surpass levels to join a spirit fight, I can naturally arrange it. Surpassing levels no longer suffers the level restrictions of spirit fights. In other words, you can challenge one of the lowest 40th level spirit fighter teams. Here the 40th level teams are practically all Silver Spirit Fighters. There are also a few Gold Spirit Fighter teams. You can choose as you wish. 40th level. Flender was stunned a moment, immediately afterwards shaking his head, then let it be. What is called, gentlemen love wealth, but grasps it the right way. Flender still understood the reasoning of this. Although in the spirit fighting ring, generally speaking none of the opponents died, he also wouldn't let his disciples take risks for his benefit. If there was a certain chance of victory without danger, then a bit of profit wasn't much, but demanding the Shrek 7 Devils take risks for profit, Flender still wouldn't do it. Although miserly, he was after all principled. No, I think it's possible. Grandmaster's stiff voice echoed, unhurriedly strolling up to Flender's side. Flender frowned. CO gang, what kind of joke is that? How is this possible? You also know the depth of a spirit ring gap. Don't tell me you want to send the children to their death. Don't forget that among them are 3 who haven't reached the 30th level, confronting a 40th level Spirit Master team. They won't stand a chance. Grandmaster shook his head. Of course I wouldn't let them take risks, Flender. There are still very many differences with 40th level Spirit Fighter teams. Speaking, Grandmaster turned to the staff member. What you said just now, letting us pick our opponent, without question. The staff member nodded. Of course, without question. Furthermore, I can guarantee that this team spirit fight will be in the central main spirit arena. The circumstances of a level surpassing challenge very rarely appeared at a great spirit arena, especially in a team fight. If it was a 1 versus 1 bout where one side's spirit was especially outstanding, perhaps there would still be a chance to prevail over a one-spirit ring gap. But team spirit fights were a collective effort. If the whole team was one spirit ring weaker than the opponents, how would there still be a fight? As a result, team-level surpassing challenges were hardly ever seen. And without more than a few successful examples in the entire history of Great Spirit Arena, a level surpassing challenge was undoubtedly a kind of spirit fight that appealed to spectators, making it even easier to excite the audience. As long as the news went out, the central main spirit arena could anticipate a full audience. Such a good event, how could the spirit arena refuse? Grandmaster continued, among your 40th level teams, do you have one that is especially cruel? Best is that kind of team that every time kills or injures the opponent. The higher the proportion of injuries, the better. The staff member startled looked at Grandmaster, thinking to himself, don't tell me this person wants to have this team killed. Originally he thought Grandmaster would pick the weakest 40th level team. He hadn't expected him to say something like this. Flender grabbed Grandmaster's shoulder, bellowing, "Xiao Gang, are you insane? You want to get the children killed?" Grandmaster calmly smiled. "Flender, do you think I would let the children get killed?" "Don't worry, I have a reason." Flender stared blankly. Yes, how would Grandmaster possibly let the children get killed? Especially his only disciple Tang San, who Grandmasters normally showed such concern for. Flender also saw that he looked at Tang San as if his own child. How would he let him take risks? Grandmaster took advantage of Flender's dull moment to once again question the staff member, is there such a team? Yes, there is. The staff member finally reacted. Fiend Team, 40th level Silver Spirit Fighter Team, since entering the Silver Spirit Fighter grade, 46 bouts and 31 wins. Altogether they have killed opponents 63 times. Injured opponents 98 times, called the murder weapon of the Silver Spirit Fighter teams. The majority of the Silver Spirit Fighter teams are unwilling to face them since they play so hard. Grandmaster nodded satisfied. Good, then we will challenge this Fiend team. Our team is called Shrek 7 Devils. Altogether 7 members will fight. Grandmaster. Seeing Grandmaster unexpectedly being so earnest, Zhao Wuji's 4 teachers hastily gathered to prevent him. Grandmaster shook his head to them, saying something in a low voice. At this it was like everyone saw the light, the worry on their faces fading away. Flender, somewhat hesitant, said, "But, is this all right?" Grandmaster calmly said, "Flender, this is also a kind of experience. Inevitably there will be a day when they must confront circumstances like these. Do you believe that having us at their side to guide them when they confront such circumstances, or letting them endure it on their own is better?" Flender's gaze collided with Grandmaster's in midair, seeming to raise sparks. In the end he was still the one to yield, nodding, "Fine, I hope you're right." Grandmaster calmly smiled, saying, "This is the best way to examine their mental qualities. It's also something they must experience sooner or later." Flender looked at the other teachers, saying, "Then, let's decide it by vote. Everyone in favor of Grandmaster's decision raise your hands." The minority defers to the majority. While speaking, Flender took the lead to raise his hand. After the other teachers hesitated a moment, they also one after another showed their agreement. Grandmaster then turned to the staff member, "Please help us set it up." Meng Li's mood had been somewhat bad recently. As Fiend Team's captain, it was also no wonder he was depressed. Fiend Team already hadn't had a team spirit fight for half a month, for the simple reason that they suffered the collective boycott of all 40th level Silver Spirit Fighter teams. No team wanted to meet them in a spirit fight. Since the founding of Fiend Team, they had adopted mad dog tactics. Meng Li was always held up as tyrannically vicious. Vicious to scare people to death. In the previous team spirit fights, whatever their opponent, under his leadership the Fiend Team would all launch their wildest full-strength attacks. Even if they lost, they still might kill the opponents. Over time, whenever Fiend Team participated in team spirit fights, the opponent's spirit would first be overwhelmed. Even if clearly stronger than him, they still had a hard time winning. But recently, Fiend Team had encountered problems. Because of their excessively vicious style, every Silver Spirit Fighter team refused to meet them. Spirit Master cultivation wasn't easy, who wanted their companions to die in the spirit fighting ring. Occasional accidents were hard to avert, but if fighting Fiend Team, death was no accident, rather a certainty. In these kinds of circumstances, boycotting Fiend Team had become a common understanding among the 40th level Silver Spirit Fighter teams.